A mountain couple says they faced a nightmare after learning about a little-known law that meant they could lose their home.
That's right. In North Carolina, homeowners associations have the right to force foreclosure on your property if you don't pay your dues. As
News 13's Russ Bowen shows us, it was a reality check for one couple who now want that law changed.
I got a little less than 2¼ acres. Well, it took us about 1.5 years to build it. We had a whole log front up here. The forest goes all the way around the North Mills River and beyond. I've done all the landscaping myself. This is Tracie's dream home. We built this for my wife.
But what's followed the building of their home has been anything but heavenly.
The loft is also stick-built.
The Humphries say they chose to stop paying their HOA dues after seeing little return. Jan says he had to keep the road up himself.
With the slope, it's all about erosion.
They live in a neighborhood where the majority of property has not been developed. They're one of the few homeowners who live there.
The amount kept growing with legal fees and interest and late charges, and so then we were really disputing the amount. And anytime we would question it, the amount would grow more.
Because any questions answered by the attorneys, the Humphries say, was billable time.
It just never stopped. It just never stopped.
At one point we just said, what do we owe you? We'll just pay you the whole thing even though we don't agree, because the stress was just so bad.
Stress that was compounded after Tracie's diagnosis with breast cancer. She could no longer work full-time, so it went from a matter of choosing not to pay to not having the financial means to pay. And they say the HOA didn't back down during her illness.
I tell you, I have a real hard time controlling my emotions sometimes. I mean, you take it extremely personal.
I've never been through anything like that. I've never had anyone treat me that way.
Then they learned what few know.
And they can actually supersede the mortgage company's interest in your home, and they can force foreclosure, and then the equity becomes theirs.
I said, I better check out with Mr. Webster before I use that word, and I did. And extortion says intimidation to get money. That's what they're doing. I just couldn't believe it.
A lot of times they don't understand the power that the homeowner association actually has.
Attorney Jeffrey Stahl isn't associated with the Humphries case, but he says there's a reason for the law. While some homeowners may not be paying their assessments, others are.
If they weren't allowed to foreclose, then the homeowner association would essentially be ignored. So the legislature felt that it was a good idea to give the homeowner associations the power to foreclose. And we find that it's a very effective tool.
But lawmaker Susan Fisher says it can have a negative effect.
Because when you have a homeowner association looking to foreclose on homes within a neighborhood, that devalues the rest of the neighborhood.
Jan had to cash in his life insurance policy to pay off what they owed to avoid foreclosure.
What does property rights even mean? What does due process even mean in this scenario? There is no due process.
The General Assembly is currently hearing arguments to both decrease and increase the power to foreclose.
I would hope that they would roll up their sleeves and look at ways to not only appease the homeowners associations, but to also protect the consumers in this.
There is a lot of folks out there that have been extremely hurt by this law, and I think the law just needs to be changed first and foremost.
Well, we have made phone calls to the HOA president, the treasurer, and their attorneys. They have not been returned.
Tonight on News 13 on My 40 at 10, Frank Faboni has a reality check on the Smart Start program. Are taxpayers' dollars being wasted on high salaries instead of the children?
And we want to remind you that if you see waste or you want us to hold someone accountable, drop us an email to realitycheck@WLOS.com.